So I think to reduce the fight against TikTok ban to
Our social relationships aren't real, get outside and touch grass,
is a very privileged point of view to have. Unless you live under a rock, you're probably aware of the possible TikTok ban that may affect Americans. I've seen some polarizing views of it online when it comes to building community and parasocial relationships. So I wanted to speak on that and maybe either A, provide some clarity for those who don't understand the importance to some people, or B, provide some reassurance to some people who may be feeling a little bit nervous or scared, knowing that their community may be disappearing from them. I've seen different posts about this on TikTok, on Instagram, on Threads, Twitter, X, and this one specifically kind of spoke to me. So I'll put a screenshot of it here. But basically what it says is, to all those defending TikTok because of the community, parasocial relationships are not real. Go make friends with people in your physical, actual community. Join a book club, a knitting club, talk to your elderly neighbor. Maybe we wouldn't be so divided if we cultivated more relationships with people in our physical communities rather than our respective groupthink rabbit holes. Come for me, I feel like being a shit starter today. Granted, I'm not sure if this was just a clickbait post or if the person who posted it actually aligns with these views. However, I think a lot of what she said there, like, yes, it is important to build community in your physical world, but I think the communities that we're able to build online really do make us feel seen, especially when you take into account TikTok and how the algorithm works and how supportive people can be in the comments. I've posted things about my experiences coming out late in life and my experiences with BPD on TikTok. I see so many people on there who are like, I feel seen, oh my God, me, and sharing some of their story on there. I think sometimes people forget how difficult it can be to share your story in your physical communities, in the real world, so to speak. Because when we share our stories and our experiences and how we feel, there is the potential for backlash from the people that are actually in our lives, from the people that are our neighbors, our friends, because maybe it's not a shared experience for them, and that's okay. But I think that there's something about doing that in an online presence that removes that shame and that guilt for just being human. I think for some of us, going out into the world and saying, hey, I have BPD. Hey, I came out late in life and I struggle to understand who I was. I think when we take into account our physical relationships that we have in the real world, sometimes it's challenging to navigate those conversations because people don't understand. There's not a sense of community because a lot of people lack empathy. They cannot put themselves in our shoes to understand our experience and really only understand our experience through the lens of their existence. I think that has the ability to make you feel extremely isolated instead of this sense of community that this person thinks that you're able to just build in the real world. I'm not sure when the last time this person or the people who are commenting and relating to that have, looked at the schedule of people in the real world. Some people, they don't work Monday to Friday. So a lot of social groups are held on the weekend. Well, if you work on the weekend, now you can't go to that. When it comes to a community that's online, it's a lot easier to be like, hey, I know this person goes live on Thursdays at 5 p.m. and talks about something that I can relate to. And maybe I'll find a sense of community in the comments, just engaging with this creator. It's a lot easier to do that than it is to be like, I have to physically be somewhere on Thursday at 5 p.m. So I think her approach was very ableist and it lacked understanding or even empathy for the intersectionalities that exist within life. For example, somebody replied to her, you're not giving space for the people who live in the Midwest and are gay or have been shunned by their families for the way that they live. You're not taking into account that not everyone's physical or real world supports who they are or actually requires them to water down parts of themselves to exist safely. And she says to join a book club. But I think that all of these things are very surface level. And it's sometimes for some of us, it feels good to make those connections on a deeper level, which make us feel seen. It kind of normalizes our existence. It normalizes our struggles, our experiences in life, and makes us not feel so isolated. Even for someone who doesn't have access to a vehicle or has troubles with mobility, if they can get online and have a sense of community and support, I think that that can make a very positive impact in their quality of life. So to just say that we should all just go out and make friends in the real world, I want to ask you where? Where? Because yes, book clubs exist, but the thing is, a lot of these clubs or events that I hear about, where do I hear about them? From social media. Now, if we took away social media, how would we hear about these things? Oh, flyers. People don't hand out flyers anymore. I'm definitely not trying to take away from the importance of your physical relationships that, you know, when you get to see someone, hug someone, have coffee with them. I think those are very important, but to reduce parasocial relationships to something that's not real and not a real sense of community. Girl, it is 2025. Hustle culture is unfortunately real. The reality of people having to work multiple jobs to make ends meet is a very real thing. When you have someone who operates within hustle culture or has no choice but to work 2 to 3 jobs to make ends meet, I would like to know when and where they are supposed to make friends. Where are they supposed to find the time to engage with people in their community? We don't live in a society that affords the average person the time to connect. We live a life that's so fast-paced and busy that real-life connections are really hard to form, let alone continue to water. It requires a lot more effort than somebody who's already established in life. Maybe they have weekends off, maybe they get off at 4 p.m. so they have enough time to get home and make themselves dinner and they don't have to work 2 jobs. I think the person who posted this and the people who agreed with it probably live in a very specific tax bracket. They probably have a very different experience in life because of that. And I think physical community is so important, yes, but there's duality. Physical community, your personal relationships, and the parasocial relationships that you create and the online communities that you can have access to are both equally so important in a world where it is hard to make connections in the real world. When was the last time you saw somebody outside at a grocery store, at a restaurant, at a Pilates class, whatever, and you said, hey, let's be friends? Are you aware of how hard it is to make friends in the adult world? Especially being a parent as well. It's like most of the friends that I make are other mom friends, which I love them and I appreciate them. But sometimes you want to connect on the other interests that you have or the other hobbies that you have in your life. Like perhaps some of my mom friends don't enjoy talking about spirituality, don't understand the queer experience, don't understand being a BIPOC queer woman or a BIPOC woman. They may not understand certain experiences that I have with my mental health. So I think understanding the intersectionality exists and the importance of those online communities when it comes to intersectionality and when it comes to spreading awareness of the overlaps between different minority groups and their experiences and creating community and normalizing feelings and spreading news. Like there's so much that I learn on TikTok where I'm like, okay, I understand that TikTok's not going to be banned here in Canada, but a lot of the creators that I follow are American. And I've learned some very useful things from TikTok, even as far as like parenting. There's this one mother who talks about her approach to parenting, which has helped me to understand my child better and foster the relationship between me and my child. These parasocial relationships that we create or these communities that we are part of online can extend into our real world experiences. In no way am I saying anyone should completely live their life out online. I think it's important to foster the relationships in your real world. And I've said that so many times already in this video, but I think, again, duality. We can understand that there are a lot of people who work 2 to 3 jobs, have side hustles, and don't have the time to have physical, real world relationships. We can also understand the importance of online communities and online presence. And to be honest, like, here in Canada, we don't make any money from TikTok. However, I do know that TikTok has changed some creators' entire lives. It has changed their outlook on what life could be and how they're able to provide for their children and create a life that they would have never dreamt of, the opportunities it has afforded them. So I think to reduce the fight against TikTok ban to parasocial relationships aren't real, get outside and touch grass, is a very privileged point of view to have. And I know people don't like being called privileged. They'll be like, oh, I never had this handed to me. My life wasn't all easy. Being called privileged, you can be privileged in some aspects, and that doesn't mean that anyone's saying that you had everything easy. To be able to say that it's easy to go out and make friends, to speak from that perspective of it's easy to go out and make friends, it's easy to build community in the real world, it's easy to join a book club and find people who think like you or to build relationships in the real world. I'm sorry, but that's speaking from privilege. And honestly, I hope that the TikTok ban doesn't happen. I hope that we can continue to have the American creators on TikTok, because I think that there is something of value that they have to offer. I think not even just the value that they offer, but the way that it affects their livelihood and their ability to provide for their children or their families, or even their ability to change other people's lives. It's a beautiful thing. And there's even like Hope Corps on TikTok. And I think like sometimes when you turn on the news, when you talk to somebody on the street and you have an average conversation, small talk, whatever, usually people talk about like the things that are wrong with the world, the things that have gone bad, the things that are challenging. But sometimes TikTok provides hope. It shows us that people can be kind, people can have empathy, people can look out for each other. People can support each other. We have the ability to change each other's lives. I think that provides hope for some of us. Let me know in the comments what you think about parasocial relationships, online community, and how that has the ability to support and uplift people who are struggling with their mental health or just having an experience and feel validated within that. Let me know below. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching.